You may have heard the saying, to get better at running, you need to run. And I use that phrase a lot with beginner runners or those who are experiencing a bit of discouragement in their running, especially when runs are feeling hard in a training block. Sometimes we go out for a run and it just feels like crap. Our legs won't move, or we feel like we aren't getting enough oxygen, or we aren't getting up to speed. Provided you aren't entering overtraining, we all experience these bad runs. When I first started running, when I felt a bad run, my instinct was to take some additional rest days. I just figured I wasn't fresh. So I would take 2 or 3 days off, go for a run, and again, it would feel like junk. And now that I know better, I probably would have told myself to go out for another run the next day. Running sporadically instead of consistently can make running just as hard as if we need a rest day. Now, if you're running 6 days a week and your legs are heavy, your resting heart rate is up, you aren't hitting any paces, or RPE 3 or 4 runs are feeling like 7s, that probably means you do need a recovery day or 2 and you're in danger of overtraining. That's a different thing. And if you think you may be experiencing that, you can check out this video or refer to the description area for a podcast episode and a blog post about it. When we want every run to feel fantastic and easy, we aren't actually training anything. Your body should feel not so great on some runs. One coach refers to it as embarrassing the body. We get better when we make our body feel like it can't do something. It's an incredible machine that tries like heck to adjust itself to get better at what you're asking it to do. Today's super crappy run should feel easier if we were to do the same thing next week. For myself, I can tell if I need to run more versus more recovery based on when I'm feeling crappy. If during a run it's garbage, talking about general yuck, not pain or, hints of an injury. But if the run just is hard, I will most likely shrug it off, chalk it up to needing more of the same kind of run, and resume my training the next day. I don't try to replicate the same workout, since each run serves a purpose, and trying to play catch up all the time and recreate workouts so quickly can lead to injury, and it's just not doing your training any favors. But I assume I need to keep running, and that the next time I do that workout or run, I'm going to be better. Now, if I'm feeling in my body that a particular run is driving the struggle bus, so a few hours later I feel abnormal soreness, my resting heart rate is higher, I don't sleep well, then I attribute that to needing a recovery day. Now, I know all of that sounds really vague, and that's based on me and my training. So another takeaway from today is to get in tune with your body and how it feels in different situations. The more you run, the more you will be able to do this. So those of you who run or move more in general through exercise, you have the added advantage of being in tune with what is going on. You start to be able to tell if you're getting sick sooner than you used to. You know what a 6-mile run should feel like for both during the run and after. You know when you feel that little thing in your calf, whether it's an overuse injury starting up, which signals recovery and rest, or whether it usually happens the first few runs on a new pair of shoes. All of these things take time and trial and error to figure out, but the more you run, the more you start to gather this information about yourself. Another thing I encourage all runners to do is find out more about running and the science behind it. When I would stop running because I wasn't feeling fresh when I should have just kept on running, I didn't understand that that is how training works. Some runs are supposed to feel hard. I'm going to keep telling you that. When you are training for a distance you haven't run before or raced before, you always are going to get to a point in that training where you feel like you will never be able to execute what you're actually training for. For me, it's when I hit 16 miles in marathon training every time. I go for that first 16 miler. I think about how I have to get through 10 miles more and to do that faster than when I'm running for my long runs during training, and I can't believe that I'm gonna make it through. It seems impossible, but that's actually the point. If I can run 26.2 right out of the gate, I'm training for too short a distance for myself. But that second 16 miler should feel easier, and then my body has to get through an 18 and then a 20 miler, and each run brings me closer to the goal. A few years ago, I was training for a marathon and I could not get in a lot of the runs surrounding the long run. So I would make sure every week to get that long run in, but the 8s and the 10s and the 12s during the rest of the week just weren't happening. I ended up having to defer the race. It wasn't the long runs that were getting me, it was the fatigue not being introduced by the other runs for that long run. So the 16 miler never felt good. My body wasn't making the adaptations necessary. I learned through that training period that running a long run with all the rest in the world is not how it works. So luckily, I'm not someone who gets injured very easily, but I was definitely opening myself up for injury because I didn't treat the training as a whole, and my body wasn't building on each run the way it was supposed to. So instead of defaulting to an extra rest day, perhaps you need to build in more running days. Safely and gradually, of course. Don't take this as a message to go from running 2 days a week to 6 right away. But if you are feeling like your runs are always hard and you are running 2 or 3 days, try adding in an additional day of a few more miles. Stay with it, and unless you are dealing with pain, injury, or sickness, which definitely means rest and recovery, stick with your running days and embrace the harder runs, knowing it is ultimately making you better. And if you have any questions about what I am saying, shoot me an email and I will try to answer them. As a run coach from Buffalo, New York, I have the most fun guiding people in their journey. It's a big deal to hire someone to coach you. So if you're interested, you can check out this video. And if you're closer to being ready to get on a roster, you can check out my coaching page over at wrinkledrunner.com and let me know you'd like some more information. Sign up for my once a month newsletter where you can see all the previous month's content and links you to any resources that I have found in that past month. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the run.